Moving into a nursing home is a decision many hope they'll never have to make. At first, it might seem like a safe option: clean rooms, medical staff, planned meals. But behind that structure often lies a silent suffering few dare to talk about. What if the place meant to care for you slowly takes everything that made you feel alive? In this video, we'll explore 6 hard truths that no one tells you about nursing homes, from the quiet loss of freedom to the heartbreaking emotional toll. If you've ever wondered what really happens behind those doors, or you're considering this path for yourself or a loved one, you need to hear this first. Because regret hits hardest when you realize it too late. One of the most painful realities of nursing homes is the sudden loss of personal freedom. You no longer decide when to wake up, when to eat, or even when to take a walk. Daily routines are dictated by staff schedules and facility policies, not your own preferences. This loss of control slowly chips away at your sense of identity. You begin to feel more like a patient and less like a person. Imagine spending your entire life making choices, small or big, and then suddenly having them all stripped away. Even basic decisions like when to shower or what to wear become supervised. That might sound minor, but these daily choices are what remind us we're still alive, still human, still free. When those decisions are taken from you, something in your spirit begins to fade. Independence isn't just physical, it's emotional and spiritual. It's about waking up and knowing you can shape your day. In a nursing home, that power often disappears. You may feel helpless, frustrated, or even invisible, like your voice no longer matters. And when people stop making choices, they start losing hope. Studies have shown that the loss of autonomy is directly linked to faster cognitive decline and depression in elderly patients. It's not just about structure, it's about dignity. And when independence vanishes, dignity often goes with it. What begins as a safe solution can become a silent prison for the mind and soul. The hardest part is, most people don't notice it happening at first. It creeps in slowly. One lost choice, then another. Until one day, you forget what freedom even felt like. And that's when the regret sets in, deep, quiet, and irreversible. At first, the visits are frequent. Family members come with warm hugs, flowers, and promises to return soon. But over time, the visits grow less frequent. Days pass without a call, weeks without a visit. You begin to realize that while you are still here, life outside has moved on without you. And the silence becomes louder than any conversation you once had. This isn't always out of cruelty. Often, it's simply life. Busy schedules, emotional avoidance, distance. But the result is the same: abandonment. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that forgets. Residents in nursing homes frequently describe feeling invisible, as if they've been stored away instead of being cherished and remembered. That emotional disconnection is devastating. Humans are wired for connection. Being part of a family, a circle of love, a living memory, that's what gives life color. When that connection fades, sadness sets in. And eventually, that sadness turns into deep, aching loneliness. A loneliness that no medication or meal schedule can fix. Research shows that feelings of abandonment in elderly care facilities lead to a dramatic rise in depression, especially for those who were once socially active. What hurts most is not the building, it's the emotional vacuum. A life that was once full of love, laughter, and shared moments slowly becomes quiet, sterile, and numb. It's hard to regret something when it happens suddenly, But when loneliness builds one day at a time, when the people you love the most begin to disappear, you're left wondering, was this really better? You don't just miss them, you start to feel like they don't miss you. And that truth is harder to survive than the walls of any nursing home. Purpose is what gets us out of bed each morning. The small tasks, the rituals, the roles we play. But in nursing homes, many of those routines disappear. You're no longer responsible for making your own coffee, watering your plants, or setting the table. At first, it may feel like rest, but soon it begins to feel like emptiness. Like you've been relieved not just of chores, but of meaning. Without something to care for, something to look forward to, the days blend into each other. Hobbies that once brought joy are hard to access or simply not encouraged. Some facilities try to offer group activities, but they can feel forced, impersonal, or even infantilizing. And so you start to withdraw. You sit longer, think less, wait more. Time becomes a weight instead of a gift. The loss of purpose doesn't make noise, it doesn't scream, it just whispers, day after day, that you're no longer needed. And for many, that's the most dangerous feeling of all, because when people stop feeling useful, they start feeling forgotten, even by themselves. Mental health declines, energy disappears, and soon, hope follows. Studies show that seniors who engage in meaningful daily activities live longer, have stronger mental health, and report higher life satisfaction. Whether it's knitting, reading to someone, or simply making their own cup of tea, having something that matters, matters. Without it, many residents lose their sense of identity. And that's the heartbreaking irony. The nursing home was meant to keep you safe, but in removing the challenges, it sometimes removes the very reasons to keep going. You don't just lose routine, you lose your role in your own life. Most people believe that moving into a nursing home will improve their health, more structure, more medical care, more safety. But for many, the opposite happens. Within weeks or months, residents who once walked confidently begin needing walkers or wheelchairs. Muscles weaken, posture changes, and what was supposed to be a place of recovery becomes a place of quiet decline. Why does this happen? Because independence is movement. And in nursing homes, opportunities to move, to walk freely, climb stairs, even do basic tasks are reduced or eliminated. You're encouraged to sit, to rest, to wait. This passive lifestyle slowly takes its toll on the body, and before you realize it, your strength has slipped away. Physical decline leads to emotional decline. When you feel yourself getting weaker, you also start feeling smaller, more afraid to try, more doubtful of your own body. This creates a vicious cycle. Less movement means less strength, which leads to less confidence, and then even less movement. It happens silently and fast. Research shows that many elderly residents experience noticeable physical decline within the first 3 to 6 months of institutional care. What's lost is not just physical ability, but freedom. The ability to get up and move when you want to, not just when someone else allows it. And with that loss comes the haunting question: will I ever get better again? Regret sets in when you realize how quickly things changed. You walked in one way, standing tall, moving slowly but freely, and now you rely on assistance for everything. Not because you're incapable, but because the system slowly convinced you to stop trying. Privacy is one of the quiet pillars of human dignity. The ability to close a door, to have a moment to yourself, to choose when and how to care for your own body. These are not luxuries, they are essentials. But in most nursing homes, privacy becomes rare. Shared rooms, scheduled showers, and staff entering without notice slowly strip away a person's sense of personal space. You're no longer in control of the most intimate parts of your life. Someone else decides when you bathe, what you eat, and sometimes even what clothes you wear. Assistance is often necessary, yes, but the way it's handled can feel cold, rushed, or even humiliating. Over time, you may begin to feel less like a person and more like a task on someone's checklist. This loss of dignity can be deeply damaging. It eats away at your self-esteem and creates emotional distance. Even something as simple as choosing your own meals becomes complicated. You may start to say thank you for things that once were basic rights, just because you don't want to seem like a burden. In facilities with high patient-to-staff ratios, care becomes mechanical. The human part fades. No one means to treat you like a number, but when there are too many residents and too few caregivers, compassion often gets lost. What remains is a routine, efficient, structured, but deeply impersonal. And that's when the regret hits. You remember what it felt like to be you, in your own home, on your own time. And now, even your most private moments feel shared, monitored, or rushed, not because you chose it, but because the system is built that way. And that realization hurts more than anyone will ever see. When people first move into a nursing home, it often feels temporary, a place to recover, rest, or regroup. But what many don't realize is how difficult it becomes to leave. As health declines and routines solidify, going back home starts to feel unreachable, not just physically, but emotionally, financially, and logistically. What began as a short stay often becomes permanent. One of the biggest barriers is the loss of confidence. You may no longer trust yourself to live alone, even if you could. Family members, driven by fear or guilt, may hesitate to support the transition. Your home might have been altered or sold. The logistics pile up, and soon you begin to tell yourself, maybe I can't go back. That thought alone creates a cage. Healthcare systems often reinforce this trap. Insurance policies, paperwork, and institutional rules make leaving feel more complicated than staying. And every day that passes, the idea of freedom feels more like a dream than a plan. You get used to the walls, you adjust, but part of your spirit still aches for your own space, your bed, your kitchen, your life. The tragedy is that many residents could leave with the right support, physical therapy, home adjustments, or emotional encouragement. But once you've been in the system, it's hard to push back. It's easier to stay. And so independence fades, not with a dramatic fall, but with 1,000 quiet concessions. And in the quiet of that resignation, regret takes root. Not because you didn't try, but because you didn't realize how hard it would be to undo the decision. Because no one told you that the hardest part of moving into a nursing home might be never finding the way out. Moving into a nursing home is not always wrong. For some, it may even be necessary. But before you make that decision, you deserve to know the whole truth. Because behind the walls and routines, many residents are quietly grieving the loss of freedom, purpose, and connection. It's not just a change of address, it's a shift in identity. If you're considering this path for yourself or someone you love, ask the hard questions, visit often, look deeper, and remember, the safest choice is not always the most human one. Autonomy, dignity, and emotional well-being are just as important as medical care. Here on Years of Gold, we speak the truths that often go unspoken. If this video resonated with you, please subscribe to our channel. We share honest reflections, hard-earned wisdom, and life after 60 the way it truly is. Give this video a like if it helped you see things differently. And in the comments, tell us, what's one thing you wish more people understood about aging or care homes? We read every message with care, because your voice matters, your story matters, and every truth you share becomes part of someone else's freedom.